Got the okay on the undersized rubber on the oversized blade. TIBHAR Quantum X purple. On the STIGA Master Active. And for a new rubber, because that rubber came off a different blade, of course, we got the VICTAS Curl P5V 0.5 sponge. What do they say about it? Long pips out rubber with harder pimples for powerful playing. The pimple structure geometry of Curl P5 is similar to the very popular Curl P1. Compared to other pips out rubbers, Curl P5 has very hard pimples for maximum pressure. Now for the German, just kidding. So yeah, this is Curl P5V, black, 0.5 sponge, made in Japan. VICTAS. It says sponge hardness 55. They have a little table there, you can see it actually. P1, P2, P3, P3A, P4, P5. So, that's the VICTAS Curl P5V. Just doing this to get this one more racket assembled and testing out, obviously, a different camera view from the previous stream. Don't take it too seriously. We're gonna use the GWO glue. We love using GWO glue around here. Kind of, right? For context, the GWO glue is acceptable, but we prefer Revolution 3. If you scan this, my Megaspin affiliate link, you could go to Megaspin and buy Revolution 3 glue. I recommend it. The glue in particular, so you could buy it however you want. But it would be cool for me if you scan that out. Let me know if it works, right? Just testing some things out. We got the QR code for the Tampa Bay Table Tennis YouTube, QR code for the website, and a QR code for the Megaspin affiliate link that, if you scan it, it should make you my affiliate. So, I know I have a tendency to draw out the intro. Just checking the camera view. What do you think? What should we start with? We'll start with this side. Let me see. Yeah, we'll start with this side because if I put the VICTAS on first, I'll have to press down the pips. I'd rather press down on this without anything on the other side. So you can see, I put this rubber on here to check the size already. So this rubber came off a different blade, and now it's put on this racket. And so if you're doing that, you definitely need to like put it on there first, just to check it out, because you don't know how it's gonna fit. So for this one, like see, I've got it moved up just a little bit from the handle, and it's got a little bit of space on the side, but you know, if you take it off, this blade head is kind of big, I think that's the problem, right? But let's say I didn't look first and then I put it on, and I just set it all the way to the handle or something. Now look how much space is up there, and you would be more likely to hit like the edge of your racket and stuff. But you still want to be able to reuse rubbers from different rackets, right? So that's why I was saying, if you're ever doing it, like check to see how it lines up first, but you can move it up a bit, because you're mostly gonna be hitting the ball like up here. Let's be honest, right? You know, you're not gonna be hitting the ball down here by the handle. If you are, it's a problem. So try to get it lined up as good as you can, and that's that. So it's a purple rubber. Hi, Beardy Girl. Yes, I play. I practice a few times a week and play tournaments and things like that. And hi, Criminal YT. Thanks, guys, for commenting and watching. Let me know if you have any table tennis equipment questions or anything like that. I'm gonna assemble this racket. It's not gonna be the most exciting thing you've ever seen, but you can see what goes into it. I assembled those rackets earlier on my other stream. You could watch it, but it's kind of long and drawn out. I kind of waste a lot of time. Like I said, I'm gonna use this GWO glue. I don't love the GWO glue, but it's okay. It works. I like the Revolution 3 glue. I have that around somewhere, but I don't feel like getting up to grab it. So without any further ado, let's at least start with this part. So I'm gonna put one coat of glue on the rubber, one coat of glue on the blade. Let me get this stuff out of the way. That was for presentation purposes. Not that, that's important-ish. Important-ish, not separate words. All right, put the glue on. So if you're watching, let me know if you assemble your own rackets, if you buy, you know, pre-made rackets, if you play table tennis. Yeah, and if you make a comment, I'll try and check every once in a while. Sorry if I don't get back to you right away. It's not my intention. So put some glue on. This glue comes out pretty quick. It's pretty liquidy. I see there's a little bit of that. So on the other stream, I took this rubber off a different blade. You can see there's not really any glue residue on this rubber, luckily, so it's easy to put on a different one. But if you take your rubber off and there is a lot of residue, you kind of got to decide, is it enough to make a big deal about? Or is it okay and you just re-glue it to a different blade and it won't be perfect, but it'll be good enough. But if it's really got to be fixed, then you can try putting layers of glue on to pull off the old glue. You can find videos on that, or you got to peel off the glue little by little. It's very tedious, and you can peel off pieces of the sponge. But if you can get the residue removed, you can get it to lay flat again on a new blade. So yeah, this is just a video about assembling, testing out the streaming things. But let me know if you have table tennis equipment questions, or want to talk about table tennis, either MLTT, WTT, the Olympics, whatever. So mainly with the rubber, the biggest thing, just make sure you get it on the edges, because when you're putting a rubber on from a different blade, sometimes it doesn't stick down really well, so make sure you get a little bit there. All right, that's enough on the rubber. Now I'll put on the blade. And this process takes a little while, so like now you're seeing me put the glue on, then it has to dry, and then you stick them together, and like you can just learn about different parts of the process part by part and figure it out yourself. I should have put a little more. I always say, especially on a blade, you don't want it to dry out while you're spreading it, because then it'll get like gunky, and you want it to be smooth. So make sure you put enough on the blade, especially if you're using a glue that you're not quite as big a fan of, like I am with this one. Make sure you get enough. I mean, technically the rubber is not even going to go all the way to the edges, so on this one, I'm not going to worry about the edges. All right, that's enough. I'm not going to do any more than that, because sometimes once it starts drying out, you don't know, and then all of a sudden it can turn on you. Now this part takes a while, so if you're just joining me, I'll tell you. So we're putting a table tennis sheet here like this. I assembled these rackets earlier, right? So if you're just watching now, earlier this was just the wood blade, then I put the rubbers on, and then I cut them. These are nice ones. This is Butterfly Dignix 64, Butterfly Tenergy 05. Tenergy 05 is very iconic. Dignix is a newer line of rubbers. And so this was assembled earlier, right? Just to give you context on what's happening. This part's gonna take a while, right? So if you're tuning in, it takes like 15, 20 minutes for this to dry. So you're probably not gonna have the patience for that. And I understand. So if you come back in 15, 20 minutes, then I'll assemble it. We gotta wait for the glue to dry clear. Then stick it on, right? And then I'll roll it on. And then once I have that, I'll flip it over, right? I'll do the other side. Same idea, one layer of glue each. But I'll be using this newer rubber, the Curl P5. I'll get this out of the thing just so you can see it, because there's nothing for me to do now for a little bit. And actually, I'll be quiet and we can listen to it open. The VICTAS Curl P5V 0.5 sponge. It's got long pimples. All right, so it's a different type of rubber. It's not a smooth inverted rubber. It's like that red one on that blade. It's got a little bit of sponge. It's got 0.5 millimeter sponge. So some long pimples don't have any sponge. It's called 0X. Or some have sponges like other rubbers. It's got a yellow sponge, like you can see it. So that'll go on in a little bit, but we gotta be patient. Table tennis racket assembly is not the most riveting stuff. So, what can you do? Here's another example of a long pips rubber. It's on this blade. That's the Curl P4. That's Curl P5. This one's got RACKET 7 on the back. You can see I switched this rubber from a different blade to this one also. It's not quite as undersized. Right, it looks okay. So yeah. This glue dries quickly. I'll give GWO credit for this. Heywo in Spain, GWO. I'm not sure how else you're actually supposed to say it. It is a German company. If someone knows how to pronounce it correctly, tell me. All right. Does it focus? Anyway, that's the GWO Hydrotech glue. GWO makes some. Actually, one of my first blades was a GWO all-around classic, so a 5-ply all-around blade. Let me get this out of here. So this stuff dries pretty quickly. Gotta rearrange things real quick while we got the glue drying. There we are. So, thanks for tuning in. It's going to be a little while. That's kind of the problem with doing the assembly live. I can't edit and fast forward, so I know it's kind of boring. If you have any questions, I can actually see the chat today for some reason, so feel free to ask about table tennis equipment, racket assembly, anything like that. You're already on my YouTube channel, so you don't have to look at that code. That's the website, but I'm going to put this rubber on the other side of this blade, right? So that'll go on here. And this T-bar rubber will go on here pretty soon, but I'm still letting it dry. For table tennis glue, you gotta wait for it to turn clear, right? So it's pretty clear, it's almost there. Pretty clear, almost there. And the blade always dries quicker, so that's pretty much done. This is just about ready. I'll do this one. So like we said, this rubber is too small for this blade, right? Because it's coming from a different blade that had a smaller blade face. So it's not gonna fit perfectly, but I'm gonna lift it up a bit, so it's not going to touch the handle completely. I'm trying to center it to make it so that there's a little bit more of a uniform gap around the edges, but also slightly shift it up for the main hitting zone to get more contact with the ball, right? You don't hit the ball down here so much by the handle, so it's not a big deal. You obviously try not to hit the ball right on the edge. So just trying to get it centered a little bit better. And also for weight too, and how it fits on your finger, right? Say that's a normal racket. So it fits right up on your finger because it's right there at the handle. But once I shift it up, there's going to be a little gap there. And then also that changes the weight distribution if you figure. Instead of having weight all the way through here, it's slightly shifted upward. So just things to consider. Let's put this one on. It's ready. Put it right here. I gotta shift it up and try to center it. There's a little marking in the middle that shows the very middle of the rubber. So my goal is to get the middle lined up and get it centered. And let's see. Pretty good, I'd say. So see, like I said, it's a little too small, but what I did, I moved it up, and then I figured I had to stay parallel with the handle, but I got the center right. And so if you get the center right and you get it parallel, then it's gonna go straight. And this one, I actually got it all the way to reach the end, but not overlap, so that's about perfect. And that got the most surface area of rubber closest to the main hitting zone. So, mission accomplished on that one. Let me press this down. So GWO glue dries quickly. If you get it right, so far so good. Happy with it. People say it doesn't leave much residue either, the Hydrotech glue. So those are good positives about GWO glue. But yeah, you can take a look. I'd say, I'm pretty happy about this one. It's not easy to center it and get it quite like that. So it's a successful transfer of a rubber to a different one. you're just joining me or if you don't know what I'm doing, feel free to ask questions for clarification or anything like that. All right. So that's this side with the purple rubber. Other color rubbers were allowed more recently. You have to have black on one side, and then you could have purple, pink, blue, green, and of course red is the standard color. So now we'll start with the next side. Same process, except this time it's the long pips. It's very thin in terms of the sponge. All right, look how it moves. These are kind of annoying to do, but at the same time, it's all right. A little bit risky to do with the GWO glue, but what do I? Anyway, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna put this on the table. So, this is the long pips rubber. If you're just tuning in, you can see it. It's very flimsy, very flexible, has 0.5 millimeter sponge. So, very thin, especially compared to the other rubbers. And it kind of bows up and everything too. All right, it's ready. Put the glue on. Make sure you put enough, of course. Same like I said, since I'm only doing one layer on both sides, I put a good amount of glue, and this glue dries quickly, so I also, for that reason, want quite a bit of glue. But every sponge absorbs glue a little differently. Sometimes it depends on like the hardness of the sponge or just the treatment of it from the manufacturer. If they treat it nicely or if they were rude to it, you know. And then how much glue you put on each glue, same idea. Absorbs a little differently. You don't go all the way to, you don't have to go all the way to the very edges on the sides because the blade, well actually there's a big blade, so I'll go closer to it. But still. I'm fine with it. Make sure that seems wide enough. Oops, sorry. Just to make sure. I mean, I know it is, and that's why it's already wide enough. It's already glued enough. I don't have to worry about this, but I'm doing it anyway. Yeah, because it's a big blade, so I want to make sure. Normally, you don't have to go all the way to the edges because you don't know. But like we saw, this blade's much bigger than the other one, so I don't want to mess it up. That's that. And we'll do the blade. If you're tuning in and you're really unhappy that you had to watch even 10 seconds of something this boring, I apologize. I do apologize. I was just testing out the vertical streaming of this. I printed out that QR code thing. I want to go back and check to see what happens if I scan, if it works. If you're unfamiliar with Megaspin, it's a table tennis equipment website. Best prices and selection, in my opinion. So go check it out. They offer racket assembly too. So you can get a lot of great combos assembled and sent to you. So yeah, I'm using the GWO glue. Like I said, I'm not sold one way or the other on it. I like the Revolution 3 glue. Like I've said a million times, like a broken record. So next up, we gotta wait for these to dry again. That takes about 15, well, let's say 12 minutes because this glue dries quickly. The blade will dry first, this will dry second. I put quite a bit of glue on it Gives it just a little extra adhesion and bounce for a very thin sponge. Make sure it's on there good. We can look at these rackets real quick in the meantime. So these are drawing. Here you go, Dignic 64, Tenergy 05 on this 7-ply Axiom Solo blade. Assembled that earlier in a different assembly video, testing out the different video setups, things like that. This is a DHS Power G9 blade, 7-ply also. Not sure what the 9 is for, but I saw there are different numbers, G9, 12, whatever. Dignic 05 on both sides. One of Butterfly's new flagship rubbers, but they're designing some new ones. Harimoto was using Dignic 05 both sides, but now he's testing the Zyre on the forehand side, something like that. And I think his sister is as well. They use the Harimoto Super ALC blade, which is what I use. Anyway, Hunter Venom blade, Curl P4 TSP. So this is Curl P4, this is Curl P5. I don't know the difference, right? I think this P5 is harder and this is softer. They were showing the degrees on that one. Let's look. But this is older too. This is TSP, and then VICTAS bought the things, but I don't think they changed anything. But anyway, that's the Roxa 7 side. I already showed you guys that. Sorry. Let's look. Here's the P5. So, if we are to believe, P4 has a very soft sponge. 20 on their sponge hardness scale from VICTAS. So P5 much harder at 55, but all the other ones are also 55. So P4 is actually the outlier, which is what's on that red blade, and that's an older version of it, but still. So that's got the soft sponge on the long pips. This has a hard sponge on the long pips. I'm sure that offers different playing characteristics, but I'm not a pips player, so if anyone out there plays with pips on one side and knows what the difference is between maybe a softer long pips and a harder sponge, let me know. We'll glue this in about 8 minutes, most likely. It's drying pretty quickly. You can still see the glue. All right, you can still see it there, so you wait for the glue to disappear completely, more or less, with table tennis glue, so you can still see it, still drying. That's the other side. That's the quantum. That's the purple rubber. Very pretty, but I would like to be able to use 2 different colors, right? I don't want to use black and... Black and purple is not bad, but just black and any of the colors. I'd like to use like 2 of the colors. Blue and green. You know, things like that. Maybe that doesn't matter. I'm not sure. Have you guys ever used like the other color rubbers, like purple or green or blue, pink, right? Have you ever played with the different color rubbers? Do you assemble your own rackets? If you're here and you're enjoying it, say something in the chat or give it a like. If not, I'm sorry, and I'll see you around. Drying, drying. This will be the last racket I assemble for the day, I promise. You won't hear from me for quite some time, I think. Maybe not. The side tape is not staying put. If you're just joining me, let me know if you have any questions about the equipment, things like that. Got the Dignic 05, got the Tenergy 05, that's on those. Still drying. Blade's almost dry. This has got a little more, because I put quite a good amount on there, so. Let me know if you play with pips or inverted rubbers. If you've ever assembled a racket, or if you typically buy your stuff together, things like that. If you're ever in the Tampa Bay area, visit Sunrise Table Tennis Club in Clearwater, Florida. You can visit our website, sunrisetabletennis.com. You can scan this QR code to go to our website. Then you can look at the schedule and learn more about our club. Definitely visit it if you're in the area. I recently went to the Central Florida Table Tennis Club for a tournament. It's another great place to play. So look at their tournament schedule to see if any of those would work for you. And I'll be going down to Broward Table Tennis Club again soon. And they have awesome tournaments, so definitely check that out. This one's almost dry. The blade's dry. So it's getting close to being time to put it on, but I'm not going to rush it. That's the 0.5 millimeter sponge, long pips rubber. You can see why I titled the first assembly streams Watching Glue Dry, just so everyone had set their expectations coming in. Right, if you're willing to click a stream that says Watching Glue Dry, then you can't possibly be expecting much entertainment from me. So, for some reason, I always like to set things in there. Anyway. That's the GWO Hydrotech glue. We use that. We're done with it for the day. Get these out of the way. Remember, I recommend the Revolution 3 glue. I'll actually get that so you can see it because I'd rather look that. Just kidding, I won't. I won't be getting that. But like I said, I like Revolution 3 glue. Oh yeah, I put it in my pen. So I'm gonna let a friend use it from the club. He needs to assemble his racket before our tournament, but this is the glue I recommend. Revolution 3 glue, normal viscosity. You can get it at Mega Spin. You can scan that affiliate link. I don't know. Try it. I'm not sure. It might be too small. Maybe your phone can't scan that small. I don't think you have the capabilities. Anyway, Revolution 3 glue for the win. Just about there. This is like just a little bit needs to dry here. Just a little there, just a little there. Almost perfect. If we hit 1,000 viewers, I'll assemble it. Make that 2,000. All right, you guys ready? Is everybody ready? Make sure I got things set up right. Get it lined up just right. So make sure it's in line. Well, with the table's one way to do it. Get your roller ready. All right, so I got this. See, this one, I can see why they call it curl, because it curls up when you try and assemble it, right? It's really annoying. This is why I'm not a pips player, actually. No, I'm just kidding. There's many reasons for that. Oh, this one's, you gotta get it like that. It's flimsy, right? You gotta make sure it's there, but you don't want to stretch it too much, I've learned. Fix that part in a second. Have to fix the bottom a bit here. Well, anyway, we got it. We'll have to roll out just a bit. There we are. So actually, the pips is so flexible, or the sponge is so flexible because it's there. It responds more to the rolling. Yeah, so the bottom's a little pinched up, but that's not my concern. That'll fix itself. Anyway, you can see the surface. There's the long pips. Pretty good. I mean, it's not like professionally done, but for a non-pips player to do it, it's okay. I mean, let's see, I'll fix this just a bit because that's how I am. Perfect. All right, now we're good. We're in there. So that's the long pips. You can see like how flimsy that is. The curl rubber, terrible. I guess also because think that one's got the 20-degree sponge hardness compared to the other one's 55 and stuff. No, this is the hard one, so that doesn't make sense. That one's the soft one. Anyway, here's that. I'll cut it in a second, but I like to let it set first. I can just keep moving it around because it's pretty cool looking, right? The long pips rubber. It looks good. So with this, you just want to make sure it gets all stuck down, but you don't want to press so much on the pips with like really heavy force, like a lot of books or weight like you would with inverted maybe, on a hard sponge at least, because you could damage the pips, and you don't want to damage the pips right when you get it. You don't want it to happen like that. You want to play with it a lot, and then the pips, like, I think they break in a little bit, like the friction or whatever, especially in the hitting spot, especially if you play a long time, then really gets worn down. But anyway, you don't want to break the pips, right? That would actually mess it up, and you have to repeat the process, put a new one on. So that looks pretty good. I'll set it down gently just to make sure. That's a good example too. Like when you put the rubber on, don't freak out if there's a little thing here or there, right? Like I had that little bit dimple here because it was curled up just a bit where it glued down, but I fixed that. And this part's not so important anyway, right? That's where your finger goes, but you're not hitting the ball down there. This will be interesting, right? So you can see just how big this blade is, right? It went all the way to the outside there, all the way up to here. So this is a big blade. That's why I made sure to get that glue all in the rubber. So, oops, don't do that. Let that set just a bit. I'm not putting much pressure when I do that. I was just making sure there's even weight distribution over it. Make sure it's on the flat surface on the other side. So yeah. These are long pips. You can use them to chop block. You can play close to the table or off the bounce, kind of disrupt your opponent's rhythm. Or you can stand a bit back and chop and defend. Get a lot of balls back. It's not sensitive to spin like inverted rubbers are. Lets you use your opponent's spin against them, but it makes it very difficult or nearly impossible to generate your own spin. But I think, I don't know. Some people have counted out pimples at the higher levels of the game, but I don't know that it necessarily matters if it's not the very highest levels, but you see it enough at various levels, and especially intermediate and lower advanced, so very effective, especially you learn the techniques. I'll cut it pretty soon. I don't want to make this last too much longer, I guess. All right, ready? We'll cut it. So start here, like I always say. I think this sponge is definitely different, so you gotta be a little careful. Don't rush it, just cut it. Yeah, the sponge is so thin on this one that it just like cuts right through it. You also have to be a little careful because the way you cut it through the pips, I don't know, I'm not sure how you're supposed to do it, but. I have to fix that up a little bit later. Came out a little jagged. So there's that. I'll have to, like I said, I'll fix that a bit with the pips. Came out a little bit jagged, but I'll put that up from the other one. So like, I'll fix this part, for example. See how it's hanging off a little too much? I went kind of conservatively there because I didn't want to cut into it too much there. You just need to make sure you have enough room to get a little bit cut off. There. So that's better there. The top part could be better, but I'm not going to worry about it. Or maybe I will. We'll see. Usually when I say I'm not going to worry about it, I go back and fix it. But you can kind of look at it from the outside. These could use just a little bit of cutting off, I guess. It was pretty good, considering, I mean, like I said, I took this off a different racket. It was undersized. I got it centered real well, let's say. And then this is the new one. Got it on there. Thumbs up. Solid. So if you came here for the assembly, that's the bulk of it. I'm not going to put side tape on because it won't line up. I might sit here and cut it just a little more because I want it to be a little better maybe. But that's the main part of the assembly done. I could definitely... I think this little area could be made a little better. Like I say, you just have to be careful because if you cut in too far, then it'll cut into the pips a little more. So that looks pretty even now. I'm not going to worry about it further than that, right? And then over time too, as the blade like hits the table a little bit, little parts will come off. So it'll even itself out. If he wants to cut it a little more, my friend can cut it. Appreciate the extra likes. I got 4 likes on this one. Thanks, guys and gals, everyone watching. All good. I don't know. You let me know. Do I need to cut it anymore or should I leave it and go home? It's pretty much done, right? So if you came here for the assembly, you've missed it. I'm sorry. You have missed out on the show. But you can always click back and watch it, I think. Wasn't that exciting? I'll give myself 1 more minute to ponder whether anything else needs to be cut, and then I will terminate this transmission. See, I mean, I could make this a little better, right? I think we agree. But at the same time, I've seen pips players, they have like this overlap. I think they don't even try to cut it exactly to the blade. They try and cut it with a certain pattern of the pips. And in that sense, really, I could cut just a little more here, but I don't think I need to. I think it's, dare I say it, perfect. The perfect pips and purple rubber. So we got the STIGA Master Active Blade. I think we looked earlier. It's all-around blade, I think. Maybe. Anyway, Curl P5V and Quantum from TIBHAR. So that's it. I'm going to shut this thing down. Thanks for watching. Use the G-Will glue. If you feel like it, you can scan that to get my Mega Spin affiliate link. Scan that for the Tampa Bay Table Tennis website. Scan that for the Tampa Bay Table Tennis YouTube. But you're already on the YouTube, so you don't need to do that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the likes. Hope you learned something or enjoyed it. See you later.